Okay, Duane, in one real side experience, a guru tells a new friend to go and ask father, his father, Duane, which presupposes that you are the father of the new clan, as seen on the real side. However, you refuse to play the father image. Don't you think there may be the impression of being orphaned by some new friends?
Okay, was this an experience someone had, one of the Africans?
Yeah. Where the guru was convincing him to follow him and to pay attention to what he was saying, and warning and telling him that his father, Duane, knows exactly what he is saying, that I should go and ask him. So he told him that he doesn't want, he's not solicited for any advice, and the guru should let him continue with his journey, and he's on his personal journey. So what struck me there was the appellation father, which presupposes that you are the father of the new clan, as seen on the real side. But in your utterances, you have vehemently refused to play this father image, and some new friends may have the impression of being orphans, while in the new presentation. So what do you think about this?
Well, again, I don't see where I've ever used the word orphan anywhere in the.
No, it's me.
Yeah, I know. I see that you start to assume certain things, but it's not about this or that or yes or no about the father idea. That's a particular experience for that individual, and it would be like I have certain experiences, and they're basically, I don't see it for everybody. It's just for me, and that's what it's about. And so again, this is where things need to be sorted out. This is like little kids getting together and say, well, gee, Billy had this experience, Charles, and are we all this? Are we all the children of Duane? Is he our father? You see, so as they ask the question, you help them sort it out. It's like, no, Susie, that was Billy's experience, and it was just for that moment, you see? And so using the father idea so you children feel comfortable, that's all. It's getting you through to the position to where eventually you can be self-sufficient and you can, like father others. That's an idea, okay? That's all that is. I don't really care to use that idea because, again, we're all free beings of real light. I like that idea better. See, that's what we are. Instead of just these relationship ideas. But certain people will have certain experiences with those ideas because the boys see that they need a little comforting at times, and it's okay. And so eventually you recognize, wow, you see, Paul and Rebazar do the same thing. One will sit on one side of me, the other will just real close on the other side, and Paul will wear a wig. He'll be the mom. He's done it before many times. I get the idea, but I don't think, oh, gee, Rebazar's my dad, my mom, and I've had many experiences like that. No, what they're demonstrating, it's a demonstration, is that, hey, we're right here. We're family. And so that's the idea. We're the real family, and that is we stand real with the is. That's the idea, you see, and not just these personal ideas, which is fine. We play with those. We giggle about them. But no, and then then it becomes distorted to where it's like, well, gee, if he doesn't want to be our father, then that means we're orphans. You see how funny it starts to get? You don't have to go there. Just have fun with that idea, let it go, and go on to the next experience, the next moment, and see what happens then. You see? Pretty soon, all of a sudden, wow, you're the dad, you're the father. Well, it's like, how did I become the father? When I had Lindsay, when Lindsay came along, I'm a kid. It's like, wow, I'm a dad. I had to question myself. I don't feel like a dad. What does a dad feel like? You see? All of a sudden, now I'm the dad. And wow, I didn't feel like a dad. I look at other dads with kids. They look like dads and moms. Me, no. My wife, she was the mom. She was wonderful. But me, a dad, wow, that was a new experience for me. But I loved it. And one day, when that little gal came into this life, wow, changed my life totally. Flip-flop, a 180. I saw it. Whoa, it just different. And I accepted it. Yeah. But that's one experience that people have, etc. And we look at the guides like that. Many times the guides disguise themselves as relatives or a dad or a mom or an uncle or something like that in the real side experiences, just to have that friendly mode so that people aren't scared or disturbed. That's the idea too. But we don't have to take it any further than that. So, okay, well, that's cool. Yeah. But again, we are all free beings of real light. That's what we are. And we can stand real with this isness and really learn to see what life is all about. It's the impossible journey, but that's the best part. It's impossible, but yet it's possible. See, that's so cool, isn't it? Go ahead.
Okay, then. So, in the new nowness of life, we have to give our all in order to have or see all of life. Literally, we have to love life as it is. So, I want to ask whether this is not, whether this is different from the old love, every life form, and above all, love your neighbor as yourself. Of the religions, because here we have to give our all in order to see and have all of life. So I want to ask, how is it different from this old theory of loving your neighbor as yourself and loving every form of life? Yeah, Duane.
That's a good question, Charles. It really is, and I'm going to explain it here. We're going to have a little fun here. There's a couple of points on this. Okay, one idea is that with the corporation, we're going to use them as an example again, because they're a very good example of what not to do. But again, you decide. In written words and statements and whatever, we see it all the time. It can be seen all the time. What do people say? Oh, I love Eckankar. Oh, I love the Ek. You see, when they say, I love Eckankar, what are they doing? They're bringing in the corporation, aren't they? And yes, you can say, well, I love the new presentation, whatever. I get that. That's the old love, where they actually love the factory. And the new presentation, guess what? There's really no such thing. It's always a maybe. But yes, it is an idea that's there. Yes. And the old idea, love thy neighbor as thyself. Mm-hmm. Well, have fun with that. I don't even like some of my neighbors. Okay. I'm not going to try and love them. All right. So again, the love idea is choice. This is why I use the sun as an example. It's so much better than that. But at the same time, yes, I add a little spice. I care. I care for the people here. I care for the world. I really do. Yes, I do care. I see it as more of that And then certain people, yes, I really do care about, but it's not so much into the love idea that people think, well, you just love everything and that'll take care of it. Well, it's not taking care of it. But guess what? If people were to recognize the isness and get all these silly ideas out of their heads, their minds and emotions, and make sense of things, the world would operate so much better. But you know what? Most people don't. So they hang on to these old ideas that don't work. Yeah, so again, love thy neighbor as thyself. That's a good one. And that's a choice. And I have the right to choose. And I decide, well, you know what? I decide to be indifferent. Because the people and what they're doing, I'm not going to just blindly love them because, etc. They make choices. They do what they do. I'm not interested. Okay? I'm only interested in what I'm doing with what I'm presenting. And for the most part, most of these people don't care. And they're rather bothersome. And so I'm not going to love the chemtrail pilots. You know, they're making choices. I want nothing to do with their choices. I want nothing to do with most people because of the choices they make. I just stand back and be indifferent, like the sun shining. I don't see the sun loving everybody. See, these are ideas that have been created in the minds, and they actually trap people here. People feel guilty and obligated. Oh, gee, I'm supposed to love my neighbor. So if they join a religion, see, they're obligated to do these things. In the new presentation, you're not obligated to do anything. But I suggest to pay attention and make sense of things and simply relate to something that creates a benefit and value for yourself realistically, not just having a good dinner every night thinking that, oh, I love macaroni and cheese and pizza. I have this every night. I'm being really good to myself. Well, if you don't mind getting diabetes from cause and effect later, have fun. But again, that's choice. So again, this has become very confusing. And people put their emotional sensations first, just like they put their personal life first. So until you are, and this is a real personal decision, and with your real awareness, you decide how real you're going to stand with the isness life is. What comes first? That's a decision you make. Again, there's no obligation here. But these old ideas, yeah, they're just old. And when you look at the sun, again, the sun has seen everything that has gone on this planet. Simply everything. And you know what? It still shines the same. It doesn't have any attitudes. There's no emotion. I don't see any happiness. There's no belief there. I don't see the sun believing in something. There's no faith. There's no hope. There's no maybes. There's no whatevers. It seems to know what to do. It's not questioning its position. But yet all these funny things are happening on the earth. So, again, do you want to recognize what's real? Or do you want to stay with your personal self and not know what life is? So this is simply, the new presentation, what I'm presenting, is a possibility of hints. All I can do is hints. The latest group I wrote last week was more hints. I keep, referring to this because, again, see, people, for the most part, I know they just brush over it. It's like, okay, I read this before. Duane said this before. That's not it. When I was in the corporation, I read Paul's books. I studied them. I discussed them. I looked at them every which way to figure things out. From that set a basis for me with really the literal personal self, because there was so much more to it. And so as I learned how to write, and it took a couple of years, intensively, 8-10 hours a day I would write. Just write and pound it out. And after a couple of years, I was not satisfied with what I wrote. So I started over. And then I started to write the story that I always wanted to, that I held back, which is book 2, A Journey to Real Freedom. And I've edited that book over the years. Every 2 years, I edited all the books. Every 2 years, I went through them, re-edited them to where they're basically where they're at, because I have new things and new groups. But I studied and I focused and I analyzed and I investigated and I still do. I've set myself up to that. where it's matter of fact, where I'm objective with what I see. So yes, the old ways, that's exactly what they are. Tradition, old sound good stuff like Harry talks about, that puts people to sleep, gets them tap line. That's what you want, have fun. That's all it is. Life is always new every single moment. This is the best part of it, to see that. But, to the personal mind with all its ideas that it carries around that seem so interesting, that are really dull and boring, no, it doesn't take the time. You have to work through this personal self. It's a machine. It's a vehicle. It's not you. You're free being a real light. You decide how long it's going to take, if ever, that you recognize that. That becomes the difference. Everything that I express pivots off of the isness life is. I don't just create sound good ideas. No, that's pretty boring. Something that sounds good, like Mark Bernhardt. Oh, he's got a lot of sound good ideas, and always referring to the corporation. And yeah, he knows something's going on there. He's reflecting upon it. But yet, he's on the fence. He's afraid to take the risk. So he just sounds good, and everybody comments on his stuff. It's like, oh, gee, Mark, I really like what you said. See, it's all about cute words and phrases and how happy people can be with these ideas. And really, where do they go? Oh, well, they're just all taplined by the reptilians if they're happy with that, yet they don't see that because, you know what? They don't want to see it. They want to live the old ways. Let's just love each other and be done. It gets to the real point that, hey, they're contributing also to the demise of this planet. Yeah, just like when you give your kids sugar, too much sugar, they get diabetes. Is that a benefit? But you want to spoil your kids or your children or your friends or whatever with all this stuff that infects them, but we can all be happy about it. Everything's infected here. Everything is poison. At what point will people just, decide to really attempt something that isn't infected? It's a choice, Charles. It's really a choice, and it takes a lot of explaining. So again, I look at where you are and Miriam with Africa. All right, I'm taking all of creation and more of that on. You just deal with Africa. And that is that, will you take on that challenge to look at every single part of it? Do you have time? Because this life every day is slipping by, and pretty soon, guess what? The world's so infected, nobody's listening. And you know what? Everybody's laying on the ground face down, just like in Fukushima. It's coming because people keep deciding it. Not because I say so, but because they keep deciding. It's almost like they can't wait to lay face down on the ground. Everybody's rushing to it. So if you're fine with that, then do nothing. Just sit and watch. Watch the world burn. Well, I don't. I'm very concerned. This is why on the real side we're doing bigger things to come out here, which nobody else is doing, which nobody else can see or even imagine. But I'm doing it. Yes. And it's happening. But again, it takes agreement. And you got to learn to see it. Who will take the time to see it? It's not literal. That's a toughie. That's Mission Impossible. Just like those movies with Tom Cruise. But he came out okay in the end. Yeah. There you go, Charles. The old ways don't work. You don't need them. Be new now. Figure out what is new now.